we're like seeking agreement rather than just understanding.
Yeah.
And it should actually be the other way. But yeah, when we're heated, it's just like, no, there's not so much blame, but it's like we're both just trying to prove our point, and we won't fucking listen.
Exactly, because we're just so hard-headed that we're just like, no, this is right for sure. This is a big thank you in advance for your patience and your appreciation. This episode, I'm giving you forewarning. The audio on this was not the best quality, and I did the best that I could with the minimal knowledge I have around audio engineering to make it somewhat palatable. Anyway, here it is, my lady and myself. Welcome to the Entertained Podcast. Jeannette, my partner in life.
Yes.
What is the title that you want to give yourself? What's your title?
Your best decision ever.
Okay, but that's not entirely accurate because I didn't choose, did I?
You choose every day.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But to clear things up, you did stalk me. That's how we're together now. Moving on.
I did not.
Yeah, you did.
No. I was assisted.
My best decision ever. Jeannette, is that what you want to keep your title?
For now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Joined this episode with my love, who I've mentioned several times over through the podcast episodes. Jeannette, my best decision ever. And, before we even start with what I was originally going to start with, this is what just came up before we started recording. And I genuinely want to know the answer to this because I feel like you're bullshitting. You claim to have been sent to the principal's office, but you couldn't think of what you were sent for unless it was a good thing. So in episode 1, me and Mom sat down and we shared one of my many stories of being sent to the principal's office. What is something you've been sent to the principal's office for?
Getting changed to a GATE program class.
A GATE program class?
Yeah, do you know what GATE is?
No.
Oh.
But something tells me it's super nerdy.
It's gifted and talented education. Gifted and talented education.
Gifted and talented education?
Yeah. Like they pulled me out of class.
You got sent. Oh yeah, tell us, do share.
This was in Virginia, so I was in 4th grade, and they pulled me out of class, and then they sent me to the principal's office. And I thought I was in trouble, but then they just said, "Hey, you're actually exceeding, and you're doing really well. We want to put you in a separate class for children who are above like their grade level." And it was called the GATE program.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's why you got sent to the... Did you ever get sent to the principals for anything bad?
I'm pretty sure I did, but nothing comes to mind right now.
Okay. Well, I guess...
I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think. But I'm sure I'll remember something after.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into this then. So, my best decision ever. I'm not... That's a terrific title. I'm not letting go. So, speaking of titles, there have been on multiple occasions, whether they're friends of ours or just strangers in social media, folks that have hit you up, said something to you, mentioned to you about us being couples goals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not known a lot of people.
Wow, are we the only couple you know? Couples goals. So before we get into yes, okay, there's couples goals. I want to kind of break that apart of why you think and why we might think that people would assume that about us. But I also want to talk about how we're not couples goals
For sure.
at all in so many ways. But first, do you agree? Couples goals. Jeannette and Anthony. Do you agree with this?
I think parts. There are things about our relationship that I really, really like, and that I know prior to being in our relationship is something that I've wanted in relationships. So, yeah, I would say parts of it are couple goals for me.
Okay.
Just things that I've worked towards or wanted to work on and have.
So that's kind of what you attribute to us being couples goals, is something that you've manifested over the years. You're like, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want.
Manifest might not be the word. It's definitely worked on. Nothing magical. Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they say.
Okay. What is? I agree with that completely. I agree. What is something that you think? What's a character trait that you consciously chose, that you worked on over the years or over our relationship or beyond? What's a character trait in yourself that you consciously chose, consciously worked on, that you feel has brought us to be where we are today, that feels for some people that see us to be couples goals?
One that I know I've worked on, especially in this relationship, is like vulnerability.
Ooh.
Because I'm not good at that. And you know that.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I'm still working on that, but this relationship has definitely gotten me very vulnerable, like openly vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Because you're a tough girl. That's why. You're super tough.
I ain't no bitch.
I ain't no bitch. Raised by a career Marine.
Yeah.
Who's a tough man himself.
Yes, and an Asian mother.
And an Asian mother.
Who's actually super sweet.
Super sweet, but tough in her own right. Mm-hmm. Extremely tough. So being more vulnerable is something that you worked on in this relationship. Prior to us, did you work on your vulnerability ever?
I like to say I think I did. But maybe I just wasn't pushed, beyond my limits, or challenged, I guess would be the better word, to, I guess, be more vulnerable, or to kind of like explore it more, or to figure out what that space and like to actually feel the emotions of vulnerability. Yeah. So I want to say that I was open to it before, and maybe I was at that point in my life, like, oh, I'm like really open and I'm like really putting myself out there, but never have I ever put myself out there like I have in this relationship.
Why do you think that is? Why this relationship? Like, why are you putting yourself out there with me instead of, because you've dated guys that were very seemingly really good guys, that whether for that chapter of your life or whatever, the connection just wasn't right. But you've dated guys where it was seemingly a good setup, I guess, for vulnerability. Why now the vulnerability?
I mean, like different relationships, you're in different stages of your life, right? Like you're in different phases. Like, one relationship I was in college, another one I was just out of high school. Like beginning college. But like, it's just your different stages, different things happen in your social circle, in your life, in yourself, you decide what you like, what you don't like, you figure it out, and you kind of vibe with your person or you don't, and you, I don't know, I guess decide, what feelings are worth exploring, and, what's worth discovering in yourself, and if you want to do it alone or with somebody else. And I don't know, I guess this is the most adult I've been. Hitting my PR for
adulting.
Yeah. And who's been through enough relationships where it's like, this is the kind of communication I want in a partner, and instead of like expecting it, I'm learning to ask for it or be more verbal and, again, like vulnerable, like, hey, this is what I need. And like asking for help and saying I need things is a huge part of my vulnerability that I've somewhat been forced I mean, challenged.
Forced. Okay. Yeah. Forced is, yeah, challenge for sure.
To, I guess, be comfortable with.
Yeah.
In this relationship. And again, it's probably just the stage I'm in, all the things that have happened personally, socially, family, professionally,
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things where it's just like, all right, cut the bullshit with myself, cut the bullshit with my partner. I'm fucking getting older. Don't have time for this shit.
And here comes the granny. I'm getting older, ain't got time for this shit. Y'all out here running around.
God damn it.
So your vulnerability. Okay, you brought something up about being challenged in this relationship particularly, and I know for sure that I challenge you. Some ways are very intentional, and your vulnerability, I think, is one of those. I am very intentional in challenging you to be more vulnerable or to be more clear and concise, especially, with communicating. What do you need? There's a million things that I could do for you, but if I have to guess through all of them, then I might not ever get to the thing that you need the most, right?
Don't you like that game? Everyone likes guessing games.
Hell no. Hell no.
Games are fun.
No, absolutely not. So
people are like, guess what? And
yeah, but that game guess what? Okay, give me two guesses, and then you have to tell me. All right. So when it comes to guess what, and you never tell me, that's a problem. That's the challenge.
Or is it mysterious?
Okay. This is the creation.
Fun. Mystery sexy.
This is the creation of a dating profile, hot on the spot. So if you're looking for a dating profile for your Tinder or your Bumble or whatever else is out there, this is being created right now. How to spin your challenges in your relationship. So I definitely challenge you ways that are intentional, very intentional, that, either it's something that I know for a fact this is a healthy thing, or you and I both know it, but our ego is just in the way. Our ego is just in the way of us doing the thing, whatever it may be. So there's some challenges I know for sure that I push you on consciously. That said, there's also some things that I have in my character built in that are very challenging to you, that aren't necessarily deliberate challenges to you, or they're things that you may not enjoy so much. This came up recently when we were getting through a debate about one thing that is deeply embedded in my character that you're not so much a fan of about 5% of the time. Most times you are, but about 5% of the time you really can't stand this. Do you remember what that was?
Yes, but if I'm wrong, then this might be another argument. It's how you like to overanalyze everything. Like sometimes I just want to share my opinion or express a feeling without, hey, let's unpack this. What do you mean? It's just like, yo, fuck that guy,
Right.
But why? Why fuck that guy? Like, why are you feeling this way?
Right.
And it's like, dude, just
fuck that guy, because that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
It. That's all. That's it. I just want to feel that.
Yeah.
And I just want to share it with you because 1, you're here, and 2, I'm expecting you to be like, yeah, yo, like fuck him, not like step into my office. Let's unpack this feeling. What is this emotion?
So this,
because for the most part, I mean, like again, 95% of the time, I love and appreciate.
If you can hear that slurping, that's our puppy in the background.
It's Anthony.
Go.
Don't blame it on Mowgli.
Yeah, that's our puppy Mowgli going crazy on his water.
Who has also been blowing ass. And you can't smell it because it's close to me.
I haven't smelled these, thankfully.
Oh, God. Good thing he moved. Yeah, like I said, 95% of the time, I appreciate it because it, again, helps with the vulnerability. It helps with communication. It's good conversation, But yeah, sometimes where I don't want to unpack shit or whatever, just let me have an opinion and just
leave it.
Yeah. Don't touch it.
Yeah, that's one of the things. But here's the thing. That is consciously, for me, that's a characteristic, a decision that I've made for myself that I actually enjoy about myself, that I have made this for the reason of I like that characteristic trait and I want to keep it and I've worked to develop it, right?
I like it too, but
most times
practicing my communication and saying that, hey, 5% of the time, like, fucking don't come with it. Like, just leave it at the door.
So, and part of the reason why I love this is because, it's giving benefit of the doubt, right? Not knowing full stories, not knowing all this stuff. So trying more or less the cliche of don't judge a book by its cover.
But sometimes I want to be judgmental.
Yeah, I know. And there's room for this, right?
And sometimes people do. I'm sure, like, your friends are like, damn, dog.
Chill. Just leave it. Just leave it alone. And I have such a hard time doing that.
Like, all I said was, that's dope. You're like, but what's dope about it? Like,
I want to know. It's
I mean, just look, it's dope. You can't just be like, yeah, that's dope.
I can, obviously.
But you choose not to because you're proud to not.
Right. So this is my point in asking this and bringing that up, that this is a conscious choice on my part, that I choose to be this way and that I choose to be that inquisitive or curious or whatever title you would want to use to describe that. Annoying? Yeah. I choose to be that annoying. It's largely because I feel as though there's too much small talk. There's too much just say this and that's that. You don't get to the depth of things. That's on the case of most, like, other people that I deal with, that I converse with, whatever. Mm-hmm. However, in our case, especially close friends or you and I, it's largely because I don't want us to get stagnant or get away with just empty claims, right? That's that. Okay, it's easy to get to the point of like, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And stop thinking in depth, right? So for me, it's almost like a mental exercise all the time to go, okay, if I think that's cool, I should be able to describe why that's cool. Even if that just goes, I don't know, it just looks cool, or it makes me feel like this, whatever it is, there's something more than just that's cool, right? So that's my reasoning, part of my reasoning. There's more to it. That's part of my reasoning, but it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is I want to know why or how you deal with that relationally. Something in your partner that you can't stand it. It's an annoying trait, but yet you still love me and you still deal with this all the time. How?
Usually it'll be just to kick some attitude. If you're going to question my opinion and try to dig deep, where it's like, dude, just turn that off right now. I'm not trying to have a conversation about this. I just want to share something. Just for the simple fact of sharing. I could have kept it to myself, but you're here. And it is small talk. Sometimes small talk is nice, like, depending on the day. If it's a really long day and my brain's been working all day, like, I don't want to have more deep conversations about something that's meant to be small talk. Like, I just want to chill and kick it and just, like, let my mind wander and turn off and just, like, mindless entertainment, like, you have those days,
For sure.
And when people have those days, at least with me, you don't turn that off. You have that switch on. So usually it's like kick attitude and, like, we'll kind of get, like, in a little some type of argument or whatever about it, but gotten better to the point where I actually told you, hey, I love it most of the time, but sometimes, like, turn that shit off.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I told you, I would tell you, hey, if you ask me that, Anthony, not now. This is not one of those. I don't want to unpack this.
That's it. So that's part of it is the communication we've been building more and more, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to express something that you literally just want to say it, then that's something that needs to be indicated. Because my default is to dive deep, right?
Yeah, which is
Dive deep.
lovely, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for that forced appreciation.
But not 100% of the time.
Right. So that's how to deal with something like this is we figure out the communication of whatever that is, where there's other pockets of our relationship. We keep on developing higher levels of communication with each other,
Mm-hmm.
where if I need something from you, I just say, hey, can I talk to you? Or even the other day, right, when I had that experience on the flight where where
You got hit on by a flight attendant.
yes, I got hit on by a flight attendant very respectfully.
Yeah, that was nice.
And that's something I know as a partner, as a romantic partner, it stirs up a lot of defensive and almost even jealous type of feelings inside. Initially, if I just came to you and said, hey, check it out, I just got this girl's number that she passed to me, something like this, that stirs up the initial response from us. So part of our communication that has been developed is I know that it works a lot better if I come to you because you're such a terrific friend, not just to me, but to all of your friends. If I come to you and say, hey, can I share something with you as my friend?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the lead. That's the lead into something like this. And then now that for you, you go, okay, switch into friend mode. And also, antennas up. Also, antennas up because something about to go down. This motherfucker. So from there, it's like, okay, now I know I can share something with you and it's more a safe space. And then also another thing this is something that you actually have helped me with and taught me is you're incredibly good at dealing with being hit on as well as many other social interactions. One of those being the ability to notice when you're being hit on.
Social cues.
Social cues, which I'm not the greatest at. And that's something relationally you've taught me a lot about. And still to this day, I'm asking you like this the other day with the flight,
For being, what is your major? What was your major?
Sociology.
Oh, isn't that the study of people?
Study of people in groups, yes. Psychology.
What defines a group? More than one person?
Yeah, sure.
And when we first met, we were like, oh, this body language book. Oh, yeah, this body language show.
Yeah, there's amazing ones.
Yeah, did you pay attention?
I did, but it's different when you're in it. It's like watching football. You can just watching the game. It's watching the game and you're like, oh, come on. How'd you drop that? How'd you miss that shot? But then when you're on the court and everything's going on and, you've been playing game after game, 60 games this season.
But on the drive home, you don't think about it?
Yeah, afterwards.
On the drive home, you call me and then you tell me, like, this isn't that. And I'm like, yo, this is what just happened. No, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is.
But, okay, that's different, though. That is different.
Okay.
That's different. If I don't notice it,
then it didn't happen?
No.
Kind of.
No, not if I didn't notice it didn't happen, fool.
Kind of. You're like, no, she didn't. I'm like, yeah, that's what that is.
Because I'm not seeing it as that, right? It's different when there's multiple meanings to things, right?
Right.
So this is what you've been able to help me better decipher is seeing the multiple meanings of things instead of just, oh, that was just like this.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always,
Yeah.
Like a compliment doesn't always mean someone's hitting on you.
Exactly.
Like a compliment is a compliment.
Agreed.
And, like we give compliments to guys, girls, like all the time. Like we mess with, one of my favorite things that we do, actually, whenever we go to Costco or whatever. Like,
oh, the number?
Yeah. They're like, oh, do you want the receipt? Oh, yeah. Do you want to print your email or what? Oh, you can just text it to me.
Text the receipt.
Oh, can I have your phone number? And like you start giving it to her. I'm like, did you just ask my boyfriend first of all? Like, I love it. We put people on the spot and they're just like,
no, I didn't mean, because the receipt, there's so many things There's so many things that we catch people with this and turn it into a fun
Anyway,
game.
but like, you know, the point being like, you know, yeah, like, you know, hey, I went to the coffee shop and this girl asked me for my number.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could be like, the fuck? And be like,
That's
oh,
clear.
she sent me my receipt.
But she doesn't work at the coffee shop.
Right. Oh, okay.
And she ordered right after me. Yeah. Okay. So getting through relationally the things that are super challenging, the traits in your partner, finding out good communication to where you could say, hey, look, this is one of those things I don't need that from you. I'm not looking for that. This is what I'm looking for. So this is just clear communication, right? Or vulnerability, perhaps.
Well, for me, yes, that is like communication. I don't want to say communication is like part of the vulnerability, but communication when I'm asking for help or when I need something, or what was the other thing? Kind of like towards the beginning. Maybe on your shoots or stuff, like, you know, you're just like, I don't know, I would just ask, you know, how it is. And like, I didn't want to ask too much because I didn't want to feel like I was prying, you know, but then you're like, well, you're not interested. You're not asking me about how it's going on.
First of all, that's not my voice. No, that's very true. If you
know what I mean? It's like, for me, that was just uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I just feel like I'm asking too much. Like, for one, we were still kind of getting to know each other, you know, and I'm like, oh, am I overstepping boundaries? Am I asking too many questions? Is he like, oh, this bitch nosy, or, you know, like,
or needy, or overly, like clingy? Like there's a lot to that for sure. Where our default, we don't want to over insert ourselves into each other's lives to the point where I have to know everything you did today, the play by play,
right? And
that feeling of I want to know because I'm genuinely curious, versus I'm asking I don't want to ask what happened today and then keep asking questions because then you're going to think that I think you're up to something or that I don't trust you or something like this. When in fact,
like, how do I ask it without asking too much, you know, and like, you know, in too much detail. And like, it was just like, even that was like part of like vulnerability for me, right? It was just like, I want to know about it. I want to know how this goes and, you know, whatever. But again, is it like, I don't know. It just felt uncomfortable for me to over communicate, you know.
And part of that communication is on me too, because for me, my baseline with my work, right, being a model, an actor, I know there's certain perspectives and the optics of that position for a profession. I know there's certain things that people think or see or whatever, right? And part of that being you're a very arrogant person, you're, you know, super cocky and all this stuff, which I've actively my whole life have worked to not be that. And my mom and dad have trained me to, and my brothers, to not be that person. Mm-hmm. So for me, my way of life, and especially early in our relationship, is I'm not going to come home or come to you and say, oh, the day was like this from the shoot today. You know, it was so cool. There was this. I'm not going to do that because that's, to me, that feels very arrogant. That feels very egotistical. I
just shot with all these models for this like really big brand, but no big deal. How was your day?
Yes, exactly. So part of that is on me, right? Where I could have shared a lot earlier on with you that feeling, that sentiment, that vulnerability on my own, where I could say, hey, you know, this is, to me, it feels this way when I just come to you and share my day. So that's why I don't do that. And if we just communicated better there, it would have been, we probably would have saved ourselves a lot of irritated days and miscommunication for a lot of different times and shoots and so forth.
Like, oh shit, you were interested to know? Oh damn, like I would have shared it with you. Like,
but that's,
oh well, I wish we knew that 2 years ago.
Right. That's both of our egos. So those are some instances where maybe not couples goals.
I mean,
eventually and I think,
again, that is not manifestation. That is fucking work.
You mean I didn't just show up as this wonderful package for you to?
Let me put it that way.
Okay. Hey. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a fucking package that's wrapped very fucking difficultly.
Yeah. Wrapped in duct tape. A package wrapped in
Is
duct
that a
tape.
word, difficultly?
Difficultly? Yeah. Difficulty is a word.
I know, but it's difficultly.
Yeah, difficulty is a word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I stand by my statement.
Yeah, we'll run with that. You can make up words on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
As long as it sounds legit and you can explain it if it doesn't hit right away. But that one hit right away. We don't even need explanations. So you can make up words.
Cool.
What is...
I'm gonna remember that in our arguments.
That you can make it up this time?
Yeah.
No, I said on this podcast. No. Not in this relationship. You can make shit up on this podcast if you want.
Y'all heard it.
Okay. Our relationship. What would you love to see our relationship grow to moving forward? Because you addressed so far that, yeah, there's some aspects of couples goals that you can kind of see. And I think a lot of our relationship is the definition of couples goals. And that's not me being arrogant. That's me looking at how... Just being what?
A model.
Okay. That's me looking at our relationship both subjectively and objectively and feeling very happy, very content, and as though this relationship it looks like what I would hope my relationship would look like. It looks and operates in a way that is appealing to me. If I were to just go, man, if I got in a relationship right now, or if I were going to moved into a relationship, sometime soon, if I were single right now, what would I want it to look like? And this is, honestly, right now it is. There are still aspects that I would love to sharpen.
Like what?
I want to know. I'm asking you first, so I know how hard to go in on this, how much to analyze this, how in depth to go with this. But what are some things relationally that, where we are right now is a pretty good spot, but it's not where we're going. Where would you like to go from here?
To the moon.
To the moon. Dogecoin to the moon.
Oh yeah, I saw that headline. I would honestly like for you to read my mind.
I was like, hold on. I asked about our relationship. You said I would like for you to. It's like, I don't know. She ain't going there to start out with. What would you like other than me to read your mind? Because I know you would love that shit.
It would make it so much easier. But no, yeah. Honestly, along that line, to just better anticipate, my needs for you, like in communication or like in certain situations without needing like clarification or communication, Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, it makes
basically for you to
mind reading. Yeah. That's what... Okay.
No. Wait, okay,
hey, you know what? I appreciate you setting some standards that are so achievable.
Let me clarify.
I'm just a man. Okay.
No, obviously it's something to work towards.
No. Mind reading, Jeannette, is off of the...
Listen. You got the dog trainer coming out of me.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Good boy.
You got the clicker?
No, but like, again, that's also on me to be able to communicate enough to the point where you're like, oh, in this situation, she's communicated that this has been helpful. So, like, let me just, get this, for her, or let me do this, or like this would be helpful for her in this situation, because like I think one of my biggest challenges with our relationship has been communicating my needs, right? Like it's like I just don't like feeling needy or like, it's something I can do, so like why ask for it? I just feel like it's such an inconvenience, but you're willing to help, and I think times where I want to ask for help or I could use the help, you can just be like, hey, like I can help you out with this, but it's gonna take enough communication from me over time or whatever to be like, hey, in this situation, this is usually how I like it, like, you know, or this is helpful in this kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can then read my mind and anticipate needs. But do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. You want me to better read what you're doing to be able to say, oh, she could use some help right here.
But like that's on the eventual end of it, right? Like the work that I have to do is to learn how to communicate in the times leading up to the point where you can eventually be like, oh, I know this is helpful. Like there are so many things that I can read off of you, you know, like when you're working, when you're whatever, like, oh, I pack shit for you. Like I do things, you know, that I'm like, he's not going to ask for it, but I know this will be helpful. You know, it's just like anticipating certain things, you know, and it's like, not that you don't do it, but it's like there are times where I feel like I communicate things that like I feel like I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have to say that, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, let me see if I got this right. Certain things that you communicate to me, when you eventually do get to the point of communicating them to me, you're communicating them feeling as though it doesn't need to be communicated because it's pretty crystal clear that you need this thing by now. Is that accurate?
Something like that.
So spot on. That's spot on.
But it's also mutual. Where like, you know, I'm you know, like you're sociology major, like you're studying, you know, like people, right? It's sort of like you're my person that I'm studying, right? Like I'm with you a lot of the time. Like I know your habits, I know what's helpful. And I'm also anticipating things, you know, that you could need, or, you know, without you having to ask, you know, like having your lunch ready on your break when I know you only have like 15 minutes, you know, like things like that. I know it's helpful. You said you wanted to ask, but you're like, no. But like, you know, it was ready.
Yeah.
And like, that was nothing I minded doing at all. But it was just like, I just know like you'd appreciate this, you know, it'll like save him time and he can have more time to chill.
Yeah.
But it's things like that where like, it just makes it easy.
Yeah.
You know, not that communication isn't hard, but it is for me when I'm asking for things. So for me, that's helpful because for one, it takes me from having to ask.
Yeah.
You know, for things that I feel bad for asking because I can do that. You know, but it just feels like a sweet gesture, like oh, like he knows me, you know, and like he can do this. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. You want me to better anticipate your needs and fulfill them without communication.
But yes.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I mean, so, there's still a lot of getting to know each other.
So
right?
we just work up to the point where we don't actually speak to each other at all because we're so in love.
No. There's more to this than
Maybe I didn't catch all that then.
No, more to this, but it's like I said, it's gonna take work from me having to communicate things so that you understand, you know, better in certain situations.
Mm-hmm. But isn't everything situationally different?
Yeah.
To where...
But don't you always like learning?
To where... everything is situationally different to where that might work today, that anticipation in this same exact scenario, but tomorrow you might be feeling different to where it wouldn't work. And in fact, it would backfire because I would just do it and you would be like, why would you do that? Isn't that true?
That is true.
So, how the hell are we supposed to get to that point in our relationship? Huh?
I don't know.
Okay, let's just cut that whole shit out of this interview. What's something realistic? That we can look forward to relationally to work towards?
Together or individually?
Either one. You can give me something that I could do individually for you, which would be great because that helps us, or something together. Aside from reading minds.
Well, I think recently, I brought up, you know, like when I ask for help with something, like, hey, can you do this or can you help me with this? Asking like, hey, do you need this done now or can it be safely later? Like, I think that's helped out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's helpful. So from you, that's I like that.
You need this done now or later? When do you need it done by? What's my deadline, boss?
Like, do you need that right now? Like, does that need to happen right now? Like, for the most times, it's like not really,
Yeah.
But it's just like, hey, like I said it, like I don't use Siri, but it's like, hey, Anthony, remember to do this. It's like one of those things because I don't, it's like that.
Yeah.
And I think together, just continue to remind each other of our like relationship mission statement.
Oof.
And to get back to our relationship reviews.
I'm so thankful you brought that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so something we could do better together is to get back to focusing on our mission statement.
Well, I don't think it's like focusing. It's just,
living our mission statement.
Yeah, and it's just like reminders of like, I mean, I know sometimes when we're in arguments, like there's shit I want to say, and like I'll write a note out of like, just like my thoughts, right? Just to get my thoughts out because I feel like some arguments I would just rather text it to you because it's like better thought out. My emotions are kind of like clarified and I've had time to just sit with myself and be like, what am I feeling? I'll unpack it for myself. I don't need you there for that.
Right.
But like,
because that's where I would go with it.
I know.
Let's unpack this.
Yeah. And sometimes in an argument, I would love to unpack it, but you're not helping unpack it. You're actually making it harder to unpack, because you are the cause of, this anguish and rage or whatever emotion.
And my argument style, I bring into the argument a lot of other things that I know is very upsetting to you because I'll reference other arguments or other instances to try to make it clear. Like, look, this is the path or this is the connection here. These are the things. And you're like, okay, one thing at a time. And it's this right now. That's it.
Exactly. There are times where we'll have an argument or like a disagreement or something and I'll just write down my thoughts, my feelings, just like, whatever, like just the impulsive things, right? Like just what am I feeling right now? And then it actually just helps calm me down and just like, figure out like what actually matters. Why am I feeling this way? Like what emotion, like what actually bothered me, from what just happened.
Yeah.
And so I can better formulate and like send you a text, which sometimes like it'll be really long and like.
I think it works. That honestly is one of the things I think works best for you and I is text.
Sometimes.
Through argument. I think, there's a phase in our argument process that I think that works really well. And where that phase is when we've tried to do it in person with words and it gets too heated because you're very hard-headed and you have a very big ego. And I am very hard-headed and I have a very big ego.
Okay, there it is.
Well, you weren't going to own yours unless I owned mine?
No, I was going to call your shit out.
Okay. Okay, good. So when it comes to us in person and it's heated and I'm a very passionate person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very expressively passionate person. You're a very passionate person who is less expressive until ignited by someone like me.
Yeah.
So where your journaling and the text comes in play in a very, I think, productive way is we've tried to talk it out in person. We've tried to talk through this. I get very analytical and start asking questions and getting deep on this stuff. And you're 10 steps ahead of that. Like, why are we still back there talking about this?
Right.
It gets frustrating. And then
Right. Sometimes for me, it's just too soon and too deep what you're trying to do. And then it just throws me off of the points I'm trying to make and like, the feelings I'm trying to express. And then you're trying to like one up my feelings with your feelings. And like, it kind of goes back and forth. And then that's when I'm like, what, like, it's frustrating at the point, like, it's like, I'm not even fucking mad at what we were just discussing. I'm just fucking frustrated that it's turned into this.
That we can't communicate well right now. We're just.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, fucking just take a break. And like, for me, I need that time sometimes to just give myself that space. And then, the point being, going through that, like putting all those emotions and feelings and thoughts and, you know, like reactions, you know, instead of a response, you know, formulating all those reactions like into a response. Like I will actually go into and like reference our mission statement. Yeah. And I'm like, am I doing this? Am I doing this? No. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna send this shit.
Okay, so real quick, the mission statement that we have, we developed a relationship mission statement together. And you've probably heard of mission statements for whether it's for businesses, companies, things like that or whatever. But essentially, our mission statement is ours, where we had a conversation. Actually, it was developed over a few conversations, and it's a living document where we just talk to each other and figure out what is it that you want in our relationship in the long run. What are the core values that you're after? So, for example, one of the things on our mission statement is that we will be heavy supporters of community and art and artists and creators, especially so for friends and family and people close to us. That's one thing that we both highly value and want to keep highly valuing in our relationship for now until the foreseeable everdom. That's one of many things in our relationship mission statement. And so what do we have? 11?
Maybe
11 or a dozen. Yeah. 12 commandments, 10 commandments, something like that. So we created this thing where we kind of bounce back and forth. What are the valuable things that should guide our relationship no matter what? And one of those things that we both break frequently is that when we argue, we will seek to understand rather than be right. And that's something that we both really have a hard time doing when we're in the heat of the moment and we're just trying to prove to the other one that my way of thinking is the right way.
We're like seeking agreement rather than just understanding.
Yeah.
And it should actually be the other way. But yeah, when we're heated, it's just like, no, there's not so much blame, but it's like we're both just trying to prove our point and we won't fucking listen.
Exactly, because we're just so hard-headed that we're just like, no, this is right for sure. So we just try to get the other one to know that. So then writing comes into play here, where you write it out and it's really good release for you. And then eventually you'll formulate something you write to send to me to capture everything.
Also, it feels better to write because it's uninterrupted by you. You know, like your thoughts or your interjections or whatever. Like I just interrupted you when you were saying. But yeah, it's nice to just get the flow going and everything I want to say, and you can actually just receive it all, you know, and then you can always scroll back up to the text and reference, you know, whatever point, and, you know, you can get everything out that you want to say. And then like, I read your whole text and your response, you know, it's just.
So you send the long text that breaks everything down, especially the key points, because you have time to actually formulate this, which is a highly effective way to communicate. Yeah. So you send this long paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of text, and then I leave it on red.
No, you don't.
And then I just text back, okay.
Yeah, right. That ain't me.
No, that's it really is effective though. And this is one thing too that for us, I know a lot of people, you know, I've read a lot of places and things where it's like, never go to sleep angry. You know, never do that with your partner. And frankly, for me, I'm a person that I know with myself, I absolutely do not like feeling cornered. And I'm a very happy and peaceful person. And this goes for both physically and verbally. If I'm physically cornered and I'm really not wanting to be cornered or anything like that, then I will eventually, whenever it happens, I will erupt physically.
Yeah, like chihuahuas in the corner.
Like a chihuahua. I'm like a very, very large chihuahua. Almost 6'3", 200 plus chihuahua. And the same goes for me verbally, right? If there's something that if I need a moment, if I need time, if I need space, I would rather go to sleep angry, frustrated, and sleep on it and wake up and go, hey, let's try this again. Sometimes it's like that. Usually we'll try to get it out and through in the same day, but sometimes we do sleep on it.
Yeah, sleeping on it. Like, you know, when people are like, oh, I'll sleep on it. Like, I don't it's okay to sleep on it.
Yeah,
you know,
I-
sometimes it's actually better, like, just
Yeah.
live through your fucking day.
Right.
You know,
There have been times
give each
where-
other space.
There have been times where we've literally not texted each other for the full day, not called, not texted, not communicated at all for the full day. And then we wake up the next day and it's just like, I love you. Give me a hug.
But let's talk this out.
But let's talk this out. And then we do it successfully at that point. And I think that's a really good thing. I think that contributes well. What did you want to talk about with our relationship reviews?
No, that's just something when you ask, something that we could do. You know, moving
Oh, did
forward.
we? Yeah, so we used to do relationship reviews every 2 weeks. Every week. Yeah, we went every week starting, and then we did it every 2 weeks, and then we were aiming for once a month, and now it's been probably 8 months.
Months since.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could get back to the relationship review. The mission statement, relationship review. If you listen to nothing else in this episode, these are the most impactful things, in my opinion, relationally, that can help set you up for success. Mission statement, you create something together where you say, here are the values that we want to live by for each other, with each other, and really aim for this, not to please the other person, but to please your soul based on who you want to be, and the other person do the same thing, and you guys come to the agreement on figure out what falls in line for both of you. That's my perspective on this.
Right, because it's a guideline for what you both want, you know? So if you're following it, it's not like, oh, I'm doing this because this is what he wants.
Exactly.
It's like, I also want this, you know, for
Right.
my relationship.
Not-
So
Yeah, not a compromising thing. And so for the mission statement, you piece together what it is that you really, really want in your relationship. Do I want to argue in a way that is just to be agreeable, or argue in a way that is meant to understand each other? The relationship review is big time powerful. Big time. Where you get together and are you pulling it up right now?
our relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship review. So the relationship review, we should get back to doing this weekly. Essentially, we build an hour into our schedule whenever it is during the week. We would do it on Sundays. We had a list of questions, and it was only, I want to say, 4 questions,
Mm-hmm.
where we would rate the other person, rate your partner from a scale 1 to 10, and 7 could not be an option because 7 is too easy a giveaway of.
Like a neutral.
It's
like
like
a
a
safe
neutral. It's like a safe, yeah. So you're either a 6 or an 8. There's no 7s. So rate your partner overall for this past time period.
And why?
And why, yes. Rate and why. And then once they do it, the other partner goes. Next one would be something that made you feel
Most loved.
made you feel most loved. What
By
is
me.
something that made you feel most loved by me
This week.
this week?
Yeah, or since your last review.
Whatever that length of time is. What's something that made you feel most loved by me? What else is on there? What could
What do you feel I took for granted or underappreciated this week?
what do you feel I took for granted or I underappreciated this week? That one is super powerful because this is like the communication, right? I come back from a shoot, you're expecting to hear about my day, and I'm expecting you to ask me how my day went and, oh, how was the shoot, and details about the shoot to the level of what you want to know. So if you don't want to be intrusive and I don't want to be egotistical in my work, then if I come back and you don't ask me how the shoot was and you don't ask any details, I'm like, man, she really doesn't appreciate the work that I do. I love this work. She knows I love it, and she's not even asking about it. I feel like she's really taking this for granted. She's underappreciating my passion for work, what I love to do, and all these things. There's so much room here for this particular question to get to know each other in ways that I don't think would otherwise come up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like pointing out the expectations. I did this thing that I thought was a magnificent gesture for you. And I really thought I read your mind, Jeannette. I really, really tried. And I really anticipated. And I thought I read your mind. And you didn't even say thank you. You didn't even acknowledge it.
What language were you reading?
And then what else?
The
relationship
last
review.
one we have is how did we grow together or grow apart this week?
How did we grow together or grow apart this week?
Yeah, or what made us grow together or grow apart.
Yeah.
But those are just really fun. Like, because I remember, like, the things where, some of our answers for each other, like, oh, when did you feel most loved? It was something like, oh, shit, I did do that. And, like, like something like, again, something as small as, like, just having your lunch ready, right? Like, on your break.
Mm-hmm.
And you would be like, yeah, I actually really appreciate that because I really just wanted to just chill and, but I was hungry and, and it's like, oh, wow, like, something that small was so appreciated. And so, like, it just encourages you to, like, just, like, want to do, like, things,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even for acknowledgement, but it's like, oh, like, you appreciate that. And, like, that literally took a minute of my time,
Nice.
Like, something so small for you meant so much to the other person.
Pop-Tarts. She made me Pop-Tarts.
And, yeah, and then even, like, the underappreciated, like, you really did this, and you're like, oh, shit, I'm so sorry, like, and you kind of have a chance to kind of explain, like, oh, this is going through my mind, or, like, oh, I didn't even realize that, like, that meant that much to you, and, like, moving forward, you are aware of, things that they appreciate, or things that, they feel lacks love, or, like, appreciation, and, it just makes you a better partner.
For sure.
Like, and also, I mean, you definitely have to take your ego out of it, because there are some times where you like, damn, you were a 3 this week. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, you're a 3.5, I'm a bump this 8 to a 3.5.
Whatever you do, don't go first.
You have to take turns.
Yeah, flip-flop each week. So 1 week I go first and give my ratings, and then she goes the next week. But yeah, the relationship review is something that I really feel is the most helpful tool in our relationship.
Yeah, we started doing that pretty early.
We did, just a couple months in.
Mm-hmm.
Probably right around the time we decided to be officially dating.
No, it took us a while to, like, officially date.
Yeah, that's around the time we started the relationship review.
Yeah, probably.
What would you like to share that hasn't been shared yet in wrapping this up?
I don't know. Wait, you never got to the question I asked you, and you're like, no, I asked you first.
Oh, what was
that? Shit. Things that you definitely want improved or could change moving forward.
In our relationship.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll find out next time, next episode. What do I think would be improved in our relationship that I would love to see in our relationship?
Yeah, I answered with the implementing these again.
Yeah,
the mind reading, but also
back to relationship review.
I think that's really helpful for us.
I agree. That I ditto that for sure. Honestly, right now, this is a tough one because we're both in agreement with what is going on right now and where it's taking us. So right now, what I would say is more fun time, period. Just more time for us to just have fun together. That's because I'm working like crazy. I literally have 1 day off this entire month.
I know, I've asked for a week together since January.
Right. But we also have been in agreement with this big work push because we have a big goal.
A few big goals.
A few big goals that we're trying. Well, one we got the puppy here.
Yeah.
Next, we're trying to buy some investment property.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of this big push right now. So it's tough to say, this would make it better because really we're working toward a big goal right now. But aside from that, I would have to go with...
Is it tough because I'm looking at you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the eye contact.
Ooh.
Honestly, I don't have any one thing to point to.
Oh, you're trying to sleep well tonight.
Yeah. If I were to point to something, it would be... I feel since we've gotten the puppy, though, I feel this is something I've seen improve with you, which is just literally enjoying the challenges of patience
Mm-hmm.
right? Where there's moments where you just go, damn, I'm hella impatient right now, and acknowledging it and go, man, I don't need to sweat this right now. You know, it's not that big a deal. And since we got the puppy, I've seen that. Because you could be impatient than a motherfucker sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping the puppy trains you to be patient with me.
Yeah. I was about to say, look who I'm dealing with.
Count your appreciations. Get at least 3 appreciations for today. That's it for now. Much love. My love.
Bye.
Bye. The end.